You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author and professional speaker and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, in the words of one of my favorite video game characters of all time, Big Smoke, it's time to return the favor, baby, because we got another host-to-host special, baby. That's right, it's a mic takeover. I was on this guy's podcast, and now get to return the favor with this awesome dude right here, who was the founder of Write a Book University, where this awesome dude helps others write their books, self-publish, and leave their legacy. And not only that, he hosts a daily authors podcast where he interviews brilliant new authors daily. And on top of that, to complete the cupcake, he also is a finisher of the super difficult Ultra Beast Spartan race. That's right. So we got a conqueror in the building who not only conquers, but he also has an awesome family because he lives in the beautiful Emerald Coast of Florida with his wonderful wife and 4 children. So let's give it up for the one, the only AG himself, Mr. Aaron Gendle. How are you today, sir?
Thank you so much for that intro, Dominic. Appreciate it. Doing great, man. Happy to be here.
Oh, yeah, man. That's right. It's great that you're here, man. In the Going North podcast, Pun Sanctum.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to be back talking with you tonight, Dominic. And yeah, had a blast with you on the last episode where you shared your book.
Oh, yeah, man. That's right. Compass City, baby. That's right. Yes, indeed, man. We're 2 bookcasters, man, casting spells with words in multiple ways.
You
Yes.
know it.
Well, as you know, with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 33 days and 2 seconds long. So mind filling in some cavities where I may have missed some things and tell us who is the one and only Aaron Gendle.
Yeah, man. Well, you did such a great intro there. I don't know about where to take it, but yeah, you said a lot of what's going on for me. Super busy with the podcast, interviewing authors pretty much every day now, or at least trying to, and just love sharing the messages of the authors on my show with the world, because I really believe that everyone's got a message. Everybody's been through something. Everybody's got something to share, no matter how old or how young. I think it's to make the world a better place. I think books have such a special place in my heart, and they can be so impactful. So glad to be doing that, sharing that message with everybody. And yeah, just living down here by the beach with the family and spend a lot of time with them, and yeah, coaching people and just having a blast.
That's right, man. Having a magical blast indeed. Magical blast indeed. And so much of a blast that you're able to join the business of immortality with your magical book called Conquest.
That was well said there. Yes, the book is been out for a little while. I published about this time last year, and yeah, it's been an amazing ride doing that. And yeah, just some amazing feedback and help. I feel like a lot of people in their journey, not over what I had to overcome physically, and we can get into the book some more. But it's been a big ride on my mental journey, my mindset that I had to take to not only overcome the disease I had, but yeah, just to be here talking to you right now, Dominic, and sharing that message I just mentioned a minute ago.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it's great that you're able to overcome that because it was, I believe, Crohn's disease that you were stricken with back in 2014, which is, oh my gosh, 6 years now. Oh, man.
Yeah, it was quite a blow. I don't know for those listening if there's worse things, I think, to get a call from your doctor to say that you've been stricken with something. But at the time for me, it felt like a pretty big blow. I remember getting that phone call, and it was a pretty big phone call for me that day. And I tried to brush it off, but inside I was just like freaking out, didn't know what to do. And yeah, took a lot of resilience, a lot of mental strength to, and just fortitude to push forward and believe that I could help heal myself and do it in an unorthodox way, you might say.
Yes, indeed, man. Yes, indeed. Because then your bio mentioned how you battled through it and fought it naturally without medication for several months. Like, dude, I'm pretty sure that probably hurt like hell.
Yeah, I mean, I got to my sickest, and I it really, I guess, to put into perspective for the listeners, I felt like I had the flu every day, and so imagine, having a couple kids at the time, one, not even 1 years old, another one 3 years old, 2 years old. I think about the time. I've got four now, but at the time, yeah, a couple kids, and just the sole provider of the house, trying to make it all work. I was pretty stressed out. Things were going well, but we had decided to make life a little stressful for some reason and try to build a house. And I was switching jobs and all these kind of crazy things. I had moved across country from California to the Midwest where my family lived, or my wife's family lived, and sold a business. All these major shifts and changes that had happened. I think that ultimately kind of led to where I got sick, and yeah, I was pretty freaked out about it because I knew I needed to provide for my family. I needed to take care of them. And yeah, at the time I didn't know how it would turn out.
Oh, shoot, man. Wow, so all that happened in that small period, like moving across the whole darn country from California to sunny Florida.
Yeah. Well, I was moving to Iowa at the time because my wife's family was there. And yeah, we decided to try back there because for the small kids, thought we might get a little more support there. And I moved since then to Florida. Last couple of years I've been down here, which it's been good to get down to the beach again. But yeah, I think I tried to do too much at once, and I didn't have, at the time, I feel like that mindset that I needed to kind of brush off some of those big things. I'm probably giving myself a hard time there, but at the end of the day, I know those are big things, moving, having a kid, building a house, starting a new job, pretty much all the major events in life, right? All mixed into about a 6-month period of time.
Dang, man, 3 more months probably would have had another kid. My goodness.
Oh no, I'm glad I didn't. If the twins were on the way, that would have been pretty bad.
You're like, oh God, no. It's like, forget my conquest. They're about to conquest me.
Oh yeah, sometimes it's felt like that, man. Yeah, that's why I need to even remind myself of what I've written in my book and other people's books. I try to surround myself by that, as much of that positivity as possible. I'm sure, like yourself, Dominic, as often as possible, and being surrounded by those kind of people in my life. And I think that's been very important to me. And I think that start for me, it kind of kickstarted me in that direction, right? Because before that, I'd done a lot. I was pretty well accomplished in like academia, graduate degrees, even graduated from MIT, big stuff, I felt like in my life, but I didn't actually focus on those things that I feel like school doesn't teach you, like the mindset you got to have to overcome some of these big events in life and just real life stuff. And yeah, I think that's really what started that journey for me. I had to believe that, for one, it was even possible for me to consider not taking the medications that I was super scared to take because of the repercussions of some of them, or the potential risk of some of them, I should say. They basically weaken your immune system. They're immune suppressants. So, not on top of all the heavy costs. I think some of these shots take that are maybe $1,000, $1,500 a shot. It's ridiculous what it takes sometimes when you're on these medications. And yeah, I was scared of all that stuff. And I think being afraid actually led me to really search out new solutions. And it just really drew or highlighted that something wasn't right in my life, really, at the end of the day. It's like whatever was happening around me, I didn't stop to really say, hey, there's something probably that needs to change. And that was a jump start for me to realize that. And if you want to know more really about what I did, essentially from a physical standpoint, I was actually into fitness quite a bit, believe it or not. And that's why it really surprised me that I got sick in this way. Looking back, I'm not surprised, but at the time I was, because just before that, I told you I sold my business. It was a fitness business. And, I was probably in the best shape of my life, probably, 5 or maybe 6 to 7 months before this. I was working out like twice a day, surfing all the time. And then I kind of let that go when all these things shifted. I just kind of stopped taking care of myself, stopped exercising as much, and with all these different things happening, and didn't eat well. And I think that's only part of it, obviously, because I think it's funny enough now, but at the time it wasn't. I think probably a month or two before I got sick, I literally remember thinking to myself, Aaron, hey, I hope you don't get yourself sick, or something wrong with your stomach, because I remember having like just my stomach being so tight all the time, and just feeling like the stress of life was getting to me. And literally like a month or two after that, I got sick. And I think it kind of proves the power of the mind, and what it can bring if you focus on that thing that even if you don't want it and you focus on it, it's liable to come into your life. It's what I believe now. And if you, in the opposite side of that, in contrast, the things that you do want in your life, you focus on those are bound to come into your life as well.
Oh yeah, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. Kind of, I guess in a way, kind of like the law of attraction in a way.
Yeah, 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 exactly. To finish, I guess what I did, and if the listeners are interested in knowing, I mean, I think this is pretty prevalent now. It's crazy how many people I've known now, and not even related to the book necessarily that I wrote, uh, that have been diagnosed with Crohn's as well. And it seems to be pretty prevalent. Either some kind of either IBS or IBD, which is an irritable bowel syndrome or irritable bowel disease, and Crohn's is a form of irritable bowel disease. And there's ulcerative colitis and those kinds of diseases that I just know a lot more people now that have it. And what I wanted to do is, since I had been in the health world and been healthy, I thought most of my life, I was like, hey, there's got to be a way I can naturally take care of this thing without taking all these drugs that I was, again, scared to take. And I researched forums online, and I found some doctors. I even remember watching some documentaries that I like searched my brain, like what did I know up to this point in my life. And I remember one specifically. It was called Sick, Fat, Nearly Dead. And I'm sure many people who listen to this might have seen that on Netflix at one point, and it's out on the web. You can check it out on YouTube, I'm sure. But it was about a guy that basically had all these kind of illnesses. He was heavily overweight, and he went like on a 60-day juice fast, and he basically lost, I don't know, something like 60 or 70 pounds. And then he, almost all the ailments he had, he was taking all these prescription drugs. He got rid of almost all of them to where he could get off of the prescription drugs. And that was something that jogged my memory. And I went through the forums, and I found other people who actually had success with Crohn's doing that same thing, and basically reducing, just ingesting nothing but nutrients like straight into your, I guess, bloodstream, you might say, right? And then sort of giving your digestive system a break from all the processed foods or anything that it might actually have to digest, because the juicing really just, you don't really have to digest much, right? So that's a lot of what I did. And I followed another doctor called Dr. Hyman, and he was big into helping people with this sort of thing. And I went on this detox where I basically eliminated all the foods and just started drinking like broth, and really started narrowing like what was affecting me. And it all worked. And I guess probably about 90 days after starting that process, I was completely symptom free. Went into the doctor for the first time, actually, after I'd been diagnosed, because all along the way, I actually didn't know what I had. I just started doing this stuff because I knew I was sick. And the doctor said that he'd never seen anybody come into his office and ever tell them that they were symptom free, ever, especially on their first visit, and without actually having taken medication and such. So and it wasn't like he was a young doctor; he'd been doing it for quite a while. So that was pretty encouraging. And they ran some same tests that they had originally ran when I first got sick, and those all came back clean. And as you mentioned earlier, man, it's been about 6 years, and been living high ever since. Haven't never had to take any medication. I just do my juicing, do my smoothies, and I just try to eat clean and healthy as anybody would. I work out. I mentioned I do those Spartan races, and it keeps me focused and motivated and have goals. And we can touch about the rest of what I think really helped me and what I write a lot about in the book, because the health portion of my book is just one chapter, believe it or not. And the rest of it's all about the mindset I had to have to overcome what I did. Because I think at the end of the day, as I mentioned, 2 months before, I was thinking, hey, I better not, I hope I don't get sick. Right. and I did. And I had to change the way I was thinking, right. At the end of the day, to not only heal myself, but to stay, for almost 6 years now, without any of the symptoms. Right. So I think we can dive into any of those if you want to talk about them. But I think at the end of the day, that actually is probably the most important, because those help heal ailments, I believe, or they'll help you with any other thing that you want to accomplish in your life. As I mentioned, focusing on those positive things that you want to accomplish. By doing that, you're going to reach those goals and ultimately, I think, impact the world in a better way and live the life that you want.
Oh, yes, indeed. Amen to that, dude. Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thank
Yes,
you, buddy.
indeed. Yes, indeed. And it's really powerful because I did read a lot of your book, and you're definitely right. It's like, yeah, the health chapter, that was one chapter, and a lot of it had to do with mindset, because it really is the pilot of the whole body when you think about it. Whatever you program into it, and it eventually comes out of it. And then, of course, you still got to take care of your body, your temple, I guess, in a way, with the whole
Yeah.
pilot analogy, your plane, in a way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the medical field too now is really acknowledging like that connection with your mind and your gut, and it's like your second brain, they'd call it, right? And yeah, if that mindset's wrong, if your thinking is off, your stomach's going to feel it. And beyond that, any sorts of ailments can occur, I believe.
Yes, indeed. It also shows the power of Mother Nature having us covered with your whole juicing method. That really helped you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, it's actually quite comforting to know. If I think, I've read when I was doing some research at the time too, it just a lot of people were having great success, not only with what I experienced, but things like cancer. And and I'm not a doctor, so I can't prescribe anything to anybody, but there are stories out there, right, of people um, simply holistically healing themselves of things like cancer without the need for other treatments. And it's pretty powerful stuff, like you said. Much Mother Nature really having our back, I guess you might say.
Yes, indeed. Almost like a backpack at having our back. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Oh, man. But yeah, definitely though. And what I love about part of your story and the book and everything is the fact that you even have big compass on the front of it. So what inspired the compass?
Kind of goes back to thinking about, we're all on in life, I guess, for something. Like we're all heading in a direction, right? And the compass just kind of represents, I think it ties into your show here, really, because if you don't have a direction in your life, then most likely you're following somebody else's direction, or going to end up in a place that when you wake up one day, you're like, hey, where did I go, right? Because you didn't have that direction. And to me, the compass just represents like taking charge of your life. And like your podcast is called Going North, right? Going in that direction that ultimately is going to lead you down a path that you can look back and say, hey, I went the direction I wanted. I impacted the world I wanted in a way that I wanted, and I left that legacy that I wanted to leave. And I mentioned legacy also as another chapter in my book. And through all this and writing the book, it's really led me to really believe that books are just an incredible way to leave that legacy. And a big quote I love by Ben Franklin is summing it up essentially that uh, if you if you don't want to be forgotten as soon as you're dead and rotten, then either write a book worth reading or do something worth writing about. And that's a quote that really drives me north, you might say, right? And believe that by doing big things in your life and whatever those mean to you, and I think writing a book and telling others about it, leaving that story behind you, long after you're gone, I think books will be there. This recording will be there. The videos you might upload into YouTube or whatever social media platform will probably still be there. Yeah, so that's what I guess the compass really means to me. Finding your north, as you might say on your show, right? And knowing what that is at first, and I talk about that in the book. Really discovering, like I did when I was sick, I was like, hey, I had a pretty big signal or a sign, and I believe life gives you those signs and signals, whether that's, hey, your body's sick and it needs to change, or just looking around you and saying, hey, what's working, what's not working, and then from there, really trying to figure out, hey, what steps do I need to go? What steps do I need to take to get to where I really want to be?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And great use of that Ben Franklin quote, indeed, because it's true. Gotta write something or do something worth writing about. And you, my friend, have done both, man.
Thank you, my friend.
That's right. My man's
Fine,
done
fine every
both,
day.
baby. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, since you're a fellow podcast, what's probably been two of the biggest lessons you've learned thus far running a show since you're 100 plus episodes in?
The biggest thing, let's see, a couple of the biggest things. I think first of all, just a shout out to podcasting in general. I think it's just a super fun and amazing way to just connect with amazing people. I think that's probably been the best part, connecting with amazing people like yourself, Dominic, and, hopefully even going into the future, just more collaboration, connection, and friendships, right? That you could create from the people that you meet, and just the platform. And people are so open to reaching out. And you're gonna, of course, get rejections, and people will say they don't have the time. And but for the most part, it's been nothing but love from people that, even if they don't have time, are like, hey, it's not a good time right now, right? And the people that I have connected with, man, they're just incredible people, especially since I know you interview authors as well, Dominic, and the authors I know that I've interviewed, and just the people that I want to hang out with, and that's really what's been fun about it for me. I think there's a lot I've learned from a technical perspective, I guess you might say, and that kind of thing, as far as really trying to, especially since I try to do a show almost every day, I've had to automate a lot of things, and that side of thing, I've learned a lot. I feel like I can probably share a lot with people that want to start a podcast for that reason. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun, man. Just connecting, like you said, or like I said, with you and other authors like yourself. Just been a blast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. A blast of inspiration, I'd say. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. A blast so big you fly out your own window.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's that daily dose to me. For I try to interview a lot of self-help authors on my show, and it's like that constant reminder for myself every day. Some days aren't as good as and I think everybody listening can relate to having bad days or bad moments. And I think the more positivity you have in your life, and for me that's podcasting a lot, because I'm speaking to so many amazing self-help authors, I get to just pick out those nuggets of gold that they've spent months or years trying to bring forth in a book, and I get to try to draw them out in a 30-minute conversation, and it really gives me a pretty big high and some momentum, that motivation to keep going and doing whatever I'm doing.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That motivation, baby. That magical motivation. Yes, indeed. Any favorite guests so far besides myself?
Oh man, yeah, of course, you man. I love, first of all, that Ric Flair quote was amazing. I know I'm a big fan of the WWE, formerly WWF there. um, let's see. I've had what I've discovered. What's really cool is, and sometimes I don't even. I've especially in the beginning, I try not to psych myself out. Where I started to get some bigger name. I felt like bigger name guests on my show, or New York Times bestselling authors, things like that. And what you end up finding, man, is just everybody's just a person, right? And they're doing the same things, or trying to do the same things that everybody else is, and a lot of people are just genuinely trying to help other people. And I think for that reason, I'm just excited to talk to everybody on my show. And of course, there's some people that, like, in my back pocket, I really am trying to reach. Like, when I first started podcasting, I'm like, I want to get these guys on my show because just be so amazing, right? They've helped inspire me. So some of them are still out there. I've got some invitations, so we're gonna see, guys that have inspired me. I know, like, guys like Tim Ferriss, or Grant Cardone, some of these folks. But yeah, there's been some great people. I think Guy Finley is one guy that I've interviewed in the last month or so that's been amazing. I think he's written over 50 books and had over 5,000 like speaking engagements all over the world, and just an amazing person. He actually invited me out to his compound out in Oregon to hang out with him and play golf. So that was pretty amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that stands out quite a bit. But again, all the authors on my show have been pretty amazing.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, since you've been on a podcast interview train, is there a question that you wish more hosts would ask you that haven't asked you yet, or haven't asked you as much?
Um, let's see. I don't know if there's a specific question. I think all the shows are so different, and I think that's what's fun about getting on a lot of shows. You kind of have to be versatile, and I try to open myself up in that way. I think at the end of the day, I love when I'm asked just about the journey that I'm on, and what I'm trying to do to help others. And at the end of the day, again, I'm trying to help people, write books, starting to help all the authors that I'm on my show to get out there and get on podcasts, because I believe that that's one thing that authors really need help with, is just promoting themselves. And you write a book, and you think that's the hard part, and then you're like, oh well, how's anybody going to know about this? And I was reading a statistic the other day, I think something around, while it's kind of funny that there's actually more PhDs than there are published authors, there's still around I think around 4,000 books published every single day, something like that, in the United States. So pretty big number. And getting caught up in all that noise and trying to get through it, right, is a challenge. And social media is, there's a lot of noise there, and to get everybody's attention, and social ads are expensive. So anyway, I think at the end of the day, podcasting, guest podcasting, just a big way that authors can really get themselves out there and doing what we're doing right now, Dominic, and just connecting with people. And you never know where those connections lead. I know I kind of worked my way around the question you had, but I think I've really just enjoyed connecting with the podcasters themselves. So any of the questions that I've gotten, it's been a pleasure to have the opportunity in the end.
Hey, it's all good. The mulberry bush pops out every now and then on these interviews. It's okay. It's okay. It's usually better if it's the mulberry bush as opposed to well, the George W. from Harold and Kumar, the green bush. Let me stop.
uh, that one might not be too bad. Depends what kind of day it is, maybe, huh?
Oh man.
uh,
But definitely though. And that's awesome too that you're open to sharing your journey and that you're continuing with the journey. So what's next for you? You got the podcast out. Still got a couple big name guests you're looking to secure. What's next
yeah,
for my man Aaron?
yeah, pushing hard for those other guests. I'm looking to get. Shoot, I want to get Oprah on the show. I want to get past presidents. I want to get. They. That's what's cool about authors is that like a lot of really famous people as well have written books. So I know that'll happen. I'll just keep pushing for it, and I know it'll happen. I think otherwise, yeah, I'm doing the coaching, like I said, helping authors get their books out there and guest podcasting like this. I think a lot of authors need help there. Others who have their story to share, I'm at Write a Book University, as you mentioned before, just helping them. And um, I think beyond that, man, I got a big race coming up, another big Spartan race in May. I'm jumping out to California and doing it about 8,000 feet elevation, another Ultra Beast Spartan race. And for those who don't know what that is, it's a 30-mile race with 60 plus obstacles. So it'll be a good, fun adventure up the top of Big Bear Mountain at 8,000 feet. So it's, yeah, just trying to push myself in that way. And really, I think looking to do as many big things as possible. And I think that's the thing that I've had a hard time with in the past. And and as I set goals and continue to reset my goals, I still feel like I'm never setting them big enough because I really try to get those goals that scare me. And if I'm not scared, then they're probably not the right goals. So I'm always trying to question that. And again, yeah, some of the biggest things on my list are probably getting big name guests on my show, writing more books as well. I've got a couple drafts going, so that's fun and exciting to get some more books out there. Yeah, that's about it, man.
Oh wow. So big hairy goals. So do you think a ultra marathon of 100 miles will be up your alley in the future?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there was one just, I think it just was this last weekend right down the road. It was like on the beach. Yeah, it was down from, yeah, basically 100 miles, 50 miles up, 50 miles back. And it got me thinking. It definitely got me thinking. So I wasn't prepared for it this year. I think if they do it next year, I think I might just go for it.
Sweet. So that means if you win, you'll be the third ultra marathon runner in my network. That'll be awesome.
Awesome, man. Yeah, yeah. I interviewed someone the other day or a couple months back, and he had done one. I was like, "What? People are doing that?" So I didn't even know it was a thing. So yeah, it got me thinking as well.
Yeah, man. It's like, dude, folks get gassed out before they even get to 1 mile. Like you ran 100? What the fudge?
Yeah, I know, right? And I think I mean, just timing wise, it works out. I mean, it takes what? I mean, it's over a day, right? So you're fighting exhaustion from lack of sleep, all that stuff kicks in, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, indeed.
Fun stuff.
That's right. It's gonna be fun on the bun. Well, definitely gonna be on the lookout for your upcoming books. I'm pretty sure one of them's probably gonna be more health related, probably.
Well, actually focusing a lot more on, since I talk a lot about books, I thought I'd write about a book about writing a book. So that's one. And then yeah, I got some others about another about podcasting and what I've been through, like to do like a daily show where you're interviewing people daily and how to do all that. And even if you don't have a daily show, just really how do you make it all happen and what are the end to end things. So I feel like I share a lot there, and as well as how to get on shows and how to get yourself out there, especially if you don't have a social media presence or much of a following or anything like that. And it really, the way I've been able to do it, you don't have to have one because I don't. And so there's other ways to do it.
Woohoo! Sweet.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm talking about. We're coming down the pike here to the question that every guest gets, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again in the current year of 2020 with all of your amassed knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, I know we were talking before the show. You wanted me to mention something about stocks, so
Oh, darn
I'll mention. No, I'm just joking.
it. Darn it, he fell for the trap.
It makes me think of Back to the Future. Actually, he goes into the future, and he gets that magazine, and he's like, "All right, I can make some money off this thing in the past, right?" That's not the answer I'll give here. I think that um, I think there's a couple things. One is don't take life so serious. Things are going to work out. I think that's probably something I used to stress over small things and worry about money, and of course, yeah, you need money to live, and things art can be stressful, but I think everything has always worked out, and that's how I feel now. I feel so blessed, where I'm at, and I remember getting out of college and be like, oh, I'm living in the Bay Area, not making much money, and yeah, just thinking, oh man, how am I going to pay rent and all these things, right? But it all works out, and I think if we can continually, if I could have thought that then, and if I can continually think that now, and those are listening think, hey, it's going to work out, you're going to free up space in your mind to believe that those other big things and other possibilities are possible, because you're not focused again on those bad things that could happen, right? So that's one big thing that I would tell myself, my 25-year-old self. And then otherwise, I would just say, dream big, man. Don't limit yourself to the possibilities that life can bring to you, and anything is possible. There's, you know, think beyond your small little box, your small little world, beyond what other people are doing around you, what they're saying is possible, because there's so much more possibility than all of that. And if you want to do big things, you first got to envision them happening, or envision that it's possible, just as I did, with overcoming a chronic disease. I feel like I had to really believe first that it was even possible to do all that without medication, right? And if I didn't believe it, it would have never happened. So the same thing for anything else in life. You got to dream big, feel that, have that dream, that vision, and believe that it's possible, and it will happen for you.
Oh, there you go, right there. Some good advice right there. That's right. Don't take life so seriously. Life's a game. Find the right pieces.
I know you're not taking it too serious, Dominic. I love your positivity, man.
Heck yeah, man. Because it's like, dude, life's shorter than a 1 foot tall brick wall. Gotta have some kind of fun before we hit the dirt permanently.
Oh man, absolutely. Absolutely. Well said.
Yes, indeed. I just found new content. Well, alrighty. Definitely gonna be saying that one again and throwing people off. Maybe not as much the tree joke, but it'll be, yeah, probably like 7 plays to the tree joke, maybe. But hey, it's all good. It's all good. So, for those who want to keep in magical contact with you, Aaron, and all that you're doing, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you for asking, Dominic. The best place to get a hold of me is, I guess, a couple places. If you want to find me on social media, it's Aaron Gendle. You can't miss me. And the last name is Gendle. It's the double ARON. And otherwise, I'm hanging out a couple places right now. Daily Authors is where I host my show. And if you are a author, definitely invite you to check it out. There's a contact form there if you want to get on my show. Happy to talk through it and have you on the show. And otherwise, I'm at writeabookuniversity.com. And you can find me there if you're interested in sharing your story, writing a book. I can help you through that whole process end to end and get your story out there so you can help other people impact the world.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Well, there you have it, folks. Go on out, check out my man Double A himself and his podcast, the Daily Authors Podcast, as well as his book Conquest. Pick it up. It's a nice, great, quick read full of tips to help change your life for the better without any quarters needed, too. So definitely check that out like a library book. Tell your friends about it. Subscribe to his podcast and keep up with what he's doing because my man's making moves, making $1 million moves, baby. That's right.
Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate all you're doing. And yeah, I love the show. Keep up, keep it going. And yeah, I love to have you back on my show and you get your next book out as well.
Woohoo! Looking forward to it. I think my next book might be about unicorns. Who knows?
We'll talk about those unicorns, those rainbows, or whatever you want to talk about, man. Just love that sultry voice of yours. I'd love to have you back on the show.
Woohoo! Looking forward to it indeed. So, any parting words for the folks still listening, Aaron?
If you're still listening, then man, you are my biggest fan or I'm your biggest fan because you stayed in hanging with me this long. Dominic's easy to listen to, but hopefully you got some good words of advice today. I really appreciate you listening. I think whatever you have in your life that you want to do, I think the biggest thing I can leave you with is don't let fear stop you. You know, I think the best way to overcome fear in your life is just by going for it, taking those steps one step at a time. And there's someone out there that needs your help, and the life that you want is always going to be on the other side of fear. So you got to take those steps.
How's it going, you showstopper? It's great that you enjoyed this episode of the Going North podcast. If you really enjoyed it, be sure to shoot the guest an email or head over to the social media pages and leave them a nice response that you heard them on the Going North podcast, so that way they can continue to be inspired to do great things.